Welcome to episode 9 of the Monday Mourning podcast. Today we're talking about the architecture of addiction, pontoon fireball cannonballs, and why Harry Potter doesn't want you to quit the nigstick.
Welcome back.
Welcome
to the
back.
most sporadic podcast ever.
Every
Probably
week,
not actually.
bi-monthly, biannual, bisexual. We're just not.
Bicentennial.
We don't know how to
Millennial.
point.
Bisexual, non-binary.
Yeah.
We don't follow any rules.
We hate
Data,
rules.
big data.
Big data Zuck.
Time is an illusion, and so is sexuality, and Zuck is not real.
Is
And-
it an illusion or a spectrum? Is that the same thing?
Everything's an illusion.
Okay,
This is a
great.
matrix, and
Yeah.
And
I
we're
use,
our
coded.
coders are, they made us funny.
We're
So,
coded so deep.
I use the
Welcome
color
back.
illusion. Okay, yeah, welcome back.
anywho, welcome back.
Welcome back. What's
Episode 9.
is that right?
Episode 9.
I don't know.
It is.
felt-
Wait, you
Yeah,
that
no, it's
that
right.
felt
It's
right, and
right.
it is.
If you have 10 fingers, we have one finger left after this
Mhm.
one before we're all hands. So
Yep. We can still count on our
no,
2
because
hands.
we have 3 of us.
damn.
So wouldn't it be
that-
30?
I guess I was being selfish and just thinking about
Fuck you.
my own hands.
Our able-bodied hands.
Let's not even get
Okay.
into toes. Okay. Anyways, welcome back.
Anyway, we're back.
We're back.
Who
the hell
are we?
Who are we?
I don't
We
know.
are Harry Jensen, using the royal we, and our
Yep.
dad, who is us. Hold on. My dad died January 5th, 2017. I just started that sentence. I was like, he's not dead. He is dead. January 5th, 2017, of just big tumor illusion, stage 4 metastasized
Yeah.
spectrum disease. And
So true.
Mm.
now he is a big dusty bag. So,
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm sorry, man.
yeah, no, it's cool. Just
Mhm.
just don't touch the kitty litter. But hi guys.
Okay, hi.
Hey,
Hi.
Harry.
Hey.
I'm Gabby,
Yeah.
and my good old Matrix mommy
Mm.
died September 3rd, 2016.
Mm.
She just, I know we've mentioned the Matrix before, but she actually left for Morpheus. She just,
Mm.
our family broke apart, and she, decided that she had to go under.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And just, new dad alert.
So is she like, in
She
the
unplugged.
Matrix, that little like membrane pod? Is she
Yes,
in
yes,
the pod?
membrane pod. She's
Yeah.
Or-
scratching at the mucus.
Ooh. Yeah, that's my first
She's on a
DJ
ship
mixtape.
somewhere.
Yeah, on a ship.
She's
Mm.
fighting the good fight with Neo and Trinity and
Mhm.
I don't know why we're already going
the
to the
others.
Matrix, but
Yeah,
here we are.
sorry,
Red pill.
sorry guys,
God.
foreshadowing for the rest of the podcast for the next 10 years. Hi Gabby.
Hi.
that's
Hi.
why we're red pills. It's a genetic thing. Mommy's a red pill. We're red pills. Yeah. Hi, Gabby.
Hi,
My
Gabby.
name's Madison, and as I'm sure many of you loyal listeners know at this point, my mom is Gabby's mom. So
Love
I
our loyal
second
listeners.
everything she just said. Mom died September 3rd, 2016. Though I like to think on the Matrix topic, maybe she just, if anyone has seen the movie Tron, I think she maybe is just.
Oh, I like that.
I think she just entered a video game and kind of forgot to come back.
she's
she
on the
can't
motorcycle,
find the way out.
on
Yeah.
the grid.
Mm.
She's on the grid.
Yeah.
She's on the grid. And
Mm.
yeah, she's on a motor. She had a convertible when she, before she kicked the can. So she likes that, the open
The
air,
open
the
air,
breeze.
yeah.
So she can smoke cigs. It doesn't have to stink anything
Yeah.
up.
No, no.
So okay, so
yeah,
how'd she
that's how-
die? Did she do the thing where he makes like the light wall and then you like accidentally run into it and explode? Did she like hit her own?
Yeah, she fell off the board.
Yeah, she hit her own light illusion spectrum maze that she was pooping out. Oh, hi Madison.
Hi.
Mhm.
Hi.
But instead of laser, it's just cancer. It's just pure cancer, and you run into it, and
Just a wall of cancer cells.
Ooh, that
it
sounds.
invades your whole body.
It sounds wet, like
Yeah.
like old mashed
Smushy.
potatoes. Anyways, hi guys.
Hey.
Thanks for having us, Royal We.
But
So what's the skinny? What are we dipping into?
what's the skinny?
What do we
Boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh
This is
boy.
This is part 2 of our segment on mental health and grief, and this is a little thing a little ditty we like to call substance use and abuse and
Misuse even.
all those good and misuse. Yeah.
Fun. Fun.
Obtuse.
Yeah. Obtuse, concave,
Acute.
addiction.
Acute.
Pontoon. Yeah. Anyways. So yeah,
Anyway,
addiction.
Let's dive right into this lighthearted topic.
Wait, just to kick it off, I want to see if we can capture this. Did we get
I
that?
kind of heard it.
I heard
Did
it.
you hear it?
Yeah.
We'll just narrate that. That was Harry hitting his jewel.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you heard that little, it sounded like a little oven.
And it's an off-brand pod, just so the listeners know, which means it tastes like someone left $3 worth of pennies in 1 cup of grape Kool-Aid. And
Holy fuck.
My God, it's
do you
disgusting.
guys not like feeling rich?
That's a pontoon.
That
right
is a
there.
pontoon.
You know what? I love the off-brand life. Fuck anything on brand.
Fuck corporations. I'm getting off-brand jewel pods.
I guess that's the number one. That's what binds us together is we can't kick the Nick. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't kick the Nick.
I don't know if the Nick is like grief related for me necessarily. I mean, I think it's just like trauma stress induced, I guess, but
I'm actually day 3 no Nick right now, you guys. Day 3 no Nick.
no big deal.
Except for Black and Milds, of course.
No. I kicked that Nick, okay?
Except last night you were begging me to give you a cigarette.
All right.
All right, called
This
out.
is topical. There was drinking involved, and I think nothing feels better if you haven't kicked the Nick, or if you have. If you have any experience with Nick, you know that the best thing to accompany it is booze. Booze and cigs. Are you kidding?
You can't,
Fuck.
We're
Does it
actually
get any
we're
better
actually
than that?
Probably
sponsored.
like anything and cigs. I don't know.
That's true. I was going to say, well, coffee and cigs, sex and cigs, life and cigs.
There we go.
Anyway.
We're actually sponsored. We're sponsored by Big Tobacco. And,
Yeah.
And Big Drink. And I guess Big Sex,
Big
too.
drink.
Big drink.
Big Drink,
sex,
Big
is that what you
Tobacco.
said?
Yeah, Big Sex. Yeah, that's correct.
Big sex.
Big sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the things.
Yeah, we're
All
not
the
fuck
things.
Targmart, but we love big
we
tobacco.
love vices.
Yeah, we love big
do.
clapping. That's true. That's true. Well, I feel like, okay, maybe the Nick stick is not. I'll be honest. I was hitting the Nick stick before Daddy hit the the big dip into Hades.
Admittedly same.
No, he's just dipping now. He's actually all chew. That's
All
what's in
chew.
the urn. Yeah, he's just all
Just
chew.
a mouthful of dip, baby.
But okay, I'll say this. I will say this. We will say this, Royal Wait, that I okay, this is maybe insanity that's enabling me, but I feel like I can never quit the Nick because I'm all traumatized out. Like every time I tell my therapist that I'm like trying to quit smoking, he's like, it's not right now. It's like you have to it's like you have to have breakfast today and tomorrow and then for like a couple years and then you can stop taking the grape cooler penny Abraham Lincoln mixer that
He's like, that's actually part of your prescription, the Nick stick. Please don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep nicking.
We do have a couple mottos. I mean, we all know ashes to ashes, smoking's
Smoking's
a must. But then
must.
there's another one that, Harry, I think you've said it to me a couple times in your quitting journeys that are short-lived. What was it? No day is a good day to quit cigarettes, but definitely not today. Or there's never a good time to quit cigarettes, but definitely not today.
Yeah.
That's the overarching theme.
Honestly, we're almost
which
on
is
4
every day.
years.
And
Yeah.
the great thing about that saying is you can apply it to any day.
Any day, mantra.
Yep.
Yeah,
Super
that is a
versatile.
mantra. It's in Sanskrit. You might recognize it.
Yeah. But aside from the Nick,
Aside
what
from
do
the
we
Nick,
think?
Yeah. What else?
what do
What
we
else?
think?
let's see. Let's see.
Who wants to start
Well,
us off?
I'll dip in.
Yeah.
I'll dip and dive.
Dippin' Dots.
The fun thing about addiction is that you just think you're having a ball, and you're like, I'm having a ball every day. I'm having a fireball. I'm having a liter of fireball, and then that's when you realize when you start waking up in the morning and having a little sippy sip of wine, and you're like, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but you're not in Thailand usually.
Nope.
Yeah,
No.
usually not.
Yeah, Milwaukee. Wait, Milwaukee. I don't live there. Minneapolis and Thailand slash also Taiwan. It's 5 o'clock in Taiwan when I'm drinking sometimes. But that's something we've hurdled. We've gotten over.
hurdled.
We've hurdled. Yeah. Okay. Here's one thing I'll say about a lot. This isn't the first addiction, but I think that with at least with the drinking or other things is I feel so crusted up like a little eye boogie. Like I have so many eye boogies in my tear ducts that I can't cry boogie.
Yes,
so,
yes, Boogie.
So I've used drinky poos to sort of open up the wells at different
Yes.
times in my life, which I wasn't really privy to. I was just like, why am I smelly and weeping? And then I was like, because I'm doing a science experiment where I just fireball this grape Kool-Aid
And the
until
volcano
I can
just
cry up.
erupts.
And it just erupts in a big wet chew pile.
Liquid luck.
Liquid
Yeah.
luck. Yeah, I think, and that one snuck up on me. But I would say for me, it was definitely something I was using to loosen the the mega tension Atlas Sisyphus pushing back the world of
Dude.
heavy metal Black Death.
Yes.
Did it work like a charm
Every
time?
It did, but I would have to imbibe quite a bit to get the tears rolling and listen to just the right amount of Green Day, which is a lot of Green Day. I will say
Backshadowing.
that. Backshadowing, big back shadow casting across the nation. And 20 years has gone so fast.
So
Come-
fast.
You had the fireball in one hand and an Argyle sweater in the other.
Yeah,
and
just wiping
yeah.
your tears
just
with dip.
blowing your nose into the Argyle.
Yeah,
But
no, honking.
You did
honking.
hurdle that hurdle, Harry.
You
and
hurdled that
We are
shit.
proud of you.
I did hurdle that hurdle. I did hurdle that hurdle. I don't know. I
One
found
beast at a time.
one beast at a time. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like because I was taking care of myself so little, it was easy to replace hot flaming fireballs with things like eating and sleeping and joy and creation and jogging and broccoli and dad.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
That whole grocery laundromat list of thingaroonies. But yeah, that's been mine. And there's, I don't know. There's also.
How long did it start? Like, how long did it take to kick in after the big death?
Death
After
bomb.
J5?
Well, that's what sort of like snuck up on me is like I was in college, so I was like drinking casually, and then I noticed. That's the thing. You just sort of notice. You like notice you're drinking in the morning, and you're like, this is so wacky. And then you're like, this is so wacky for 8 months in a row. And so I didn't realize until I was out of college. Well, actually, no. There was some like, I think it really started honestly when I turned 21, where like the gates just opened and I could just buy like liquor for the first time in my life. And then there was just
Sweet
like
freedom.
There's just like one really lonely Thanksgiving where it was like the first time I didn't go home. I was in Portland, and I just drank a couple handfuls, like big Hagrid handfuls of liquor, of foreshadowing. And that was actually the first time I opened the urn. I thought it was glued shut. And then I opened it up, and that's when I found out that if you haven't looked in your urns,
There's
fellas,
a surprise.
yeah, it's not just loosey goosey. It's actually a potpourri, kitty dust, and
Yeah.
that's okay. That brings up something else, very tangential.
Chunks.
But I told my brother I'd open the urn, and I thought I was like the first one. I was like, I am the Indiana Jones of cracking open a cold daddy with the boys, and he was like, yeah, no, I already did that, and I was like, oh, and he's like, yeah, and I sort of like stuck my fingers in there. And
He fingered Dad.
yeah, he did. I was like, what?
So invasive.
I was like, you just jammed your fingers in a little like ash pile potpourri again of Dad's
Potpourri.
like neck and nuts. And I was like,
Potpourri.
well, I was like, so he's not all. I was like, he's not all in there then. He's like, oh, he's in there. I was like, he is not in there. You got in your fingies because there's like,
Got in your nails.
If you ever
He took some Dad out.
if you ever stuck your hand like in a bag of like flaming hot Cheetos and come out clean like a newborn.
No.
No, God,
Yeah,
no,
they-
never.
Yeah,
And you gotta lick them.
you gotta
Yeah, you simply must.
you gotta lick them, suck them clean, and you gotta accept that they're in the carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta rub them into your dog, and then you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I
you
got
just
some in
wipe
dog
it
eyes.
on like whatever what was next to him, whatever surface was next.
I
Now,
don't
now
know.
Dad's
Just
in
right
the
on
suede.
his pants. He
Yeah.
just-
You know what? Honestly, maybe because that happened in the house I'm in, and my sink is clogged to heck. So maybe it's got a little daddy gum gumming up the works.
Snake that shit, and you
snake
could some
that
Dad
daddy
could come
out.
up.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a genie
I'll
out of the sink.
yeah, I'll snake the daddy hole.
Yeah.
The daddy hole.
Anyways, what do you cats?
Anyway, tangent.
What do you cats have to say about the big ad in your life peripherally? Mm.
Well, okay.
Boy, oh boy,
Why don't you
the
guys
floodgates
tag team
of
it?
to hell open
Yeah,
up after
there's a
Mommy
lot.
bit the dust.
So, I mean, I personally haven't experienced like a grief-induced addiction necessarily. I mean, I do agree with the Nick stick like trauma. I've definitely indulged in weed my fair amount since Mommy died. But I've never really gotten to a point where I'm like, oh gosh, like I need like help or something. It was mainly another family member of ours, which is a little someone called Daddy. And
Daddy dearest,
our Daddy Dearest has struggled with alcohol and probably other addictions, I don't even know, his whole life. And it wasn't very apparent to us pre-Mommy, or I don't know. I mean, we were younger, so obviously it's hard to tell what's happening, but
Yeah, we always knew that he had an affinity for this sacred
there were issues
liquid
that we didn't
knew.
understand till like maybe after mom's
definitely-
death opened Pandora's box.
It definitely caused a lot of problems in our family.
Yeah.
Like before, but we didn't realize it.
We didn't realize.
Honestly, I think our mom was like protecting us from it.
Yeah.
Literally until the day she died. And then when she died, it was like
then
the veil
we really
lifted.
saw. And well, I think the issue was that, I mean, they were like divorced at the time because of her death, because alcohol tore them apart. Fun.
it is a family disease.
Yeah.
It rips the family
Yeah.
apart.
Lamau, yeah.
Yeah, just like little paper mache alcohol babies. But we
Wet
so
wet
yeah,
paper.
after she died, they were divorced, but obviously they had been together for a long time, raised a family together, whatever. And I think that it really, as death does, it spirals you down, and it really spiraled Daddy more than I think any of us expected, because you do in that situation somewhat expect the other parent to be the rock. Especially for me, I was still living with him. I was still in high school. So it was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm 17, you're a grown man, and I'm having to kind of take care of you in a way. And it was just really frustrating because it was kind of like I felt like I couldn't really get through my grief initially, because I had to constantly be worried about living with him and what he was doing and the spiral that was ensuing there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like the whole year after mom died, it was just me like realizing like the weight of like how this addiction was really manifesting, and like how I'd never really seen it like that before. So
and you
clearly
guys were living in like, his apartment was on this strip of just like bars, just bar after bar. Like him walking out onto the street was like a kid in a fucking candy store. Like, it was just,
it was just tough. And like throughout that year, like there were multiple times where I had to like go to Maddie's place to sleep, or like go to one of my amazing friends' houses. Their family kind of took me in because I just had to get away, and like I literally like staged an intervention. Like there were so many things. Meanwhile, I'm in my first year of grief, and like obviously we've told the banger of the year-versary, which, there's many things throughout the podcast that have kind of related to the substance abuse, but yeah, it's just a lot.
Dysfunction junction.
Dysfunction junction, man.
Function?
Yeah, I was actually thinking today about one of the dreams, backshadowing, that I described in the Matrix episode.
Which is every episode.
But yeah, part of the dream was like I saw my brother in a gas station, and he was really like, in the dream, he was like really strung out. And I was thinking about that today, and like about, my own exploration with drinky poos and pilly pots, and it just sort of like sobered me. Nice pun. It sobered me to like think like, damn, my brother, if he wasn't such a shining business star, he like he like could have like ended up like that. Like, he didn't like, I think he had some, like, he was drinking a little too much at some points, but I myself like had some like pretty bad episodes that lasted months or years, and that's just something that like happens. Like I don't have numbers, but I'll make one up. I think you're 12,000% more likely to have an addiction if you go through some serious trauma.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can cite that. Zuck's probably got some data.
Oh
on
yeah.
that. Yeah, we can
we'll
call
like
in
throw
Elon.
a link below or something to the scholarly article. No, that's a factual number. Yeah, no, I would have to agree. I think like, especially if maybe addiction does run in your family, and like perhaps you're like predisposed to like, substance abuse or something like that. Like our dad, he already had struggled, like we said, with drinking and like, addiction. Like he was kind of like a turd that had tried to been flushed down the toilet, but like he didn't quite make it. The whole turd didn't go down. So like he was just kind of chilling in Turdville. And then once mom died, it was like finally someone was able to flush him down once and for all. And that was the spiral that ensued
into the ocean.
Yeah. And then like we all saw it. It was like we all were there to watch the flush.
It's an interesting parallel that my dad is stuffed into the sink and I need to Drano him, and your dad was circling the drain and you needed to Drano him. It seems like we all need a little bit of molten metal to break up Daddy.
We all need a plumber. We all need a good plumber.
Need so many
But
things.
we're lacking the daddy that, that most families have.
Yeah.
They're kind of usually the plumber guy.
Well, I think that's the tough thing too, because it's like, obviously when you have one parent left, you really want to make it count. It's like, so all right, you're the one parent and I'm going to lean on you. And your daddy, and then it's like
your daddy.
When it's tough because like when something like substance abuse can just like tear your relationship apart, like it's really tough because obviously we saw it for what it was. Like it's not like we were like, oh my God, like I mean there were times where I was like, fuck this guy, but like it's like sad because it's like It's
Hi,
sad
Dad.
because you can see that it's obviously the grief and the trauma and the addiction like morphing into like one monster.
Right.
It wasn't him necessarily, which is
Yeah.
really sad because it's like, okay, it's hard to separate when you feel so like personally affected by these things and they've done things to you that are hurtful or whatever, however it manifests. But it's just hard because it's like we ultimately like last summer had to cut him off and haven't talked to him in over a year. And it's just sad because it's like, okay, mommy's dead, daddy's dead to me, and
Mommy is dead.
Daddy is dead.
And we're
Life
all
is
just
really
living hard,
weird. Drano.
Oh,
Surrender.
Drano.
Just flush him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just shout out to any of you grief babies that have something similar, or if you're dealing with addiction yourself, you know, it is okay. It is okay. Things do get better.
It gets better.
And you'll
Yeah.
get back on that pontoon, you
Yeah.
know?
And if you have just a turd daddy, just flush him.
Flush him.
Fucking
yeah.
flush him.
Flush him.
Um,
No, I think one thing that I like took a while to realize is like if you have another parent or like you lose a family member, it's sort of like, which is actually how I think about addiction too, but it's sort of like you have this load-bearing piece, especially if it's someone you really rely on. And so then you take that out, like it's a house, and you take out like the fulcrum where all the pressure is. And then the house just sort of like falls in on itself. And sometimes it can be a survivable lean-to. You can huddle under and just drink Fireball and grape Kool-Aid penny water. But sometimes the house just sort of fucking collapses. Because I remember like I felt like with my mom, who's still in my life, like it was pretty rocky because I just really needed some stability, and she was still like the same person when my dad died, you know?
Right.
So it wasn't
Yeah.
like she became like a
Superwoman.
superstar. Yeah, a superwoman, Saint Nick. And I feel like that, like the same thing, like, so I've thought about addiction that way, where it's like I really need this load-bearing thing. And so I take out the cornerstone, and instead of putting in back some hard mommy stone, I just shoved in a bunch of empty bottles, which are not supposed to bear that much weight.
No.
So then,
Especially if
I-
you're buying
yeah.
plastic, you know.
especially if it's plastic, but also so then like you have this house, and it used to be somewhat stable, maybe a little dilapidated, and then
Good
you
bones,
put in
good
these
bones.
bottles, and then you start drinking too much, doing other stuff, and then people are like, well, you got to stop that and like replace it with knitting. And I'm like, okay, if the fucking bottles aren't sustainable, I'll tell you what, a big bag of fucking yarn or like crocheting or like a jogging shoe is not going to keep the house afloat unless
Yeah.
you redesign the house and like
Yeah.
reorganize like how the
or
weight.
you kind of just leave the house. That was my
Yeah.
method. I was
Something's
like, I'm
gonna
just-
huff and puff and blow that bitch down.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need some some habitat for humanity to just reconstruct your emotional dwelling space. Just
Yeah.
to really put some elbow
Habitat.
grease in there.
Habitat for Grief Babies. Someone get that going.
Yeah, someone get that going, and then Patreon us for the idea.
Yeah.
At
Patent pending, patent pending.
deadparentsclub.rip.patreon.fireball.
Yeah,
No.
for sure. No, I hear that though, because I think like once mommy died, it was like, okay, now we only have one P parent left, and they got to be fucking good, right? And they're not always.
Reality
good.
was crashing
They're
down
not
on
always
us.
good. They're not going to be that like pillar of strength and hope that you need. And oftentimes like it can work in the opposite way, because death, like a big traumatic experience like that, it can bring out the best in people, but it can also bring out the worst in people. Like I think it just makes people kind of like more extreme versions of themselves, which is why, if someone is like an addict, it could make that worse, and that's what happened with our dad. And I think like for me, speaking on my own experience with like substance use, abuse, misuse, pontoon.
Pontoon,
I have
harpoon.
never Yeah, I've smoked a lot of weed. Like I was kind of a pothead for a lot of my life. But with drinking, like because our dad's alcoholism got so bad after our mom died, like I remember there was really just a period of time for like a year or more after she died that like I was like really triggered by like really triggered by alcohol. Like I had like an opposite like effect, I guess, from the death. Like instead of like diving into alcoholism because I saw my dad, like, you know, I saw his addiction for what it was. It made me like really triggered by alcohol. So like I wouldn't go out and drink ever really. Like I remember my boyfriend at the time, like if he had like just a casual beer, I would be so fucking triggered. And like, I didn't realize at the time like what was happening necessarily. I didn't get it, but that's kind of what happened for me. Like I was hella triggered. It's like since I've, you know, become a casual drinker again, but I didn't see the point. I don't know.
Yeah. I never had like, I've definitely been triggered by it. I never had a phase where I was like, oh, completely like fuck alcohol, I can't go near it. But like I think that is definitely a part of the reason that I maybe haven't fallen into like an alcoholism grief spiral, because it affected me so much that I was like, fuck that. Like I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do that. Like, because when it's like you're on the receiving end, it's just like, holy shit, like it just tears everything apart. And I think it was especially weird in our family because our, like Maddie said, like our mom was kind of protecting us from his addiction as children and whatnot. And even after they divorced and we were kind of growing up, like she was kind of like, okay, you'll get it one day. But she kind of knew that like he was still good at hiding it and we didn't fully get it. And
it was never said. No one was giving us the cliff notes.
No one was really
like, hello, why is this a big dirty secret? We need to know this shit.
Spark note
and so when she died, then he A, spiraled, and then B, the dam broke. Yeah, we saw everything for what it was. And I think the real issue was that ultimately he began to like hinder my grieving process. Like his addiction and his situation like prevented me from moving on in a lot of ways.
Classic teenage problem.
Yeah.
Dad, you're blocking my grief.
Except like, Dad, you're ruining my life because you're drunk all the time and my mom just died. Like it was like way too much. Yeah. And like, eventually it just had to go. But now it's kind of like, it's sad because we kind of wish that we obviously for so many reasons we wish we still had mommy on the old pontoon, but you know, it's like, damn, we wish we could talk to her about it or like be like, what the fuck, like
I got so many questions for that damn woman.
I have so many questions. Like,
and I wish I could share a lot of empathy with her because like now we get it. We're like, fucking Christ, woman, you dealt with so much shit.
Much shit.
I vilified my mom for so much of my life, and I like took my dad's side on so many issues and just so much. I was like I hate this phrase, but I was daddy's girl, and ew, like now I'm like, oh god, like I should have been on mommy's side. I should have been championing mommy.
I was championing mommy. Daddy and I never got along.
You didn't. You didn't.
But that's fun.
I think that I don't know. I think with my struggles with that. I have learned some things though. TBH, to be raw. TBR? Okay, DVR.
What?
Sorry, TiVo. But another thing that I struggled with for a brief summer is, like, after my dad died, he had just this fucking arsenal of medication. And, like, one thing was, like, this pump he had into his heart. And if we dropped it, like, and it broke, we'd have to call a hazmat team. Because it could like kill us.
Holy
but it was
shit.
being pumped directly into his heart, and I'm like, the heart must clean it. I don't know. But he also just had so many pills, and a lot of them were just like chemo pills, but some of them were PZs, some of them were like painkillers that I didn't know he had, but of course he had because he had a few gruesome surgeries. My dad became like the metal man. Wait, it's like that movie Kick-Ass where he gets the shit beaten out of him, then all his bones are titanium. So he had some, like his femur was like titanium because the tumors were cracking that like a drumstick between two hard places. And he also had this fucking, which I can't even think about, but they replaced 3 vertebrae two in his spine and one in his neck with titanium. And
Whoa.
the surgeon must have been fucking like Steve-O jackass shit, because he's like, you know what, we're going through the front. And yeah,
Holy shit.
which is crazy. I don't even know, like, how the fuck, like, how do you do that? You just sort of reach through and grab
You
one,
move
pull it out.
everything.
It's
Oh
like the
my
most
God.
risky game of Jenga ever to grace the earth. So anyways,
Oh my God. Literally
So-
operation. I'm thinking operation. You just
Yeah.
go 1 millimeter to the right.
so he had like
Dad's
he
dead.
had oxycontin, oxycodone, hydrocodone, methadone, ozone, Fuddruckers
Wow.
Fun Zone, and like, just to give some perspective, like, after that surgery, he was supposed to have he was allowed to have like 3 oxycontin a day, and
Wow.
I was watching The Real House Husbands of Hollywood with Kevin Hart. I was like, he's in the show. I wasn't watching with him, and I was taking like 8 or 9 at a time. And like, I like knew when I was doing it that like it wasn't like any kind of attempt, but I knew it was like risky.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
kept doing it because, well, as my friend said, which like was not helpful. He's like, oh, it's sort of beautiful because your dad took these to ease his pain, and you're taking this to ease your
Oh
pain.
my
Yeah, I know.
God.
Which is sort of like if my dad lost his arm and I was a masochist and I just like sawed off my arm, like that movie 27 Hours. It's just like, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Was he the
But-
genius annotator? We are our pain, and you're your pain.
Uh-huh.
He's the pain, and
But-
the pain
but what
is
I-
all
what
we
I-
know.
What I did learn is like they are painkillers to like make your body feel good, and they actually like did relieve a lot of like my pain in a real way. Like, there's a reason people get addicted. Like, we have I feel like we've inherited a very like Western ideology with things like grief, where it's like we primarily think of it as like focused in the mind, as sort of like a mental phenomenon of like sadness. But like in China, this is so unsighted, but like in China, so unsighted, just don't forgive me. I've heard that people diagnose like or like identify like depression as like a pain in the heart and like more of a physical phenomena. And that was definitely true. Like, I would take these painkillers and they made my like chest not feel. And having that relief made me realize like how much trauma is actually keeping the score in the old body.
Yeah.
Keep in the score. Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
No, I've actually heard that too. Because I majored in psych, and
Ooh.
there are cultures that like people from different. I don't know what cultures exactly, but like people will come to America. They're from elsewhere, and these places don't necessarily have a word for like depression. So when people trying to describe what's happening, they're like, I just feel pain everywhere. Like, I feel like I'm in pain. My whole body is in pain. And
Yeah.
oftentimes like people like, doctors in America, they don't know they don't know what to prescribe or like how to diagnose, because they're like, you have chronic pain? Like, what does that mean? But really what they're trying to say is like, I'm depressed. I am like
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm in
'cause it is
absolute
physical.
agony.
I want to
And
die.
I need some Drano to unclog the molten pit of sadness, and I really need to drain it and flush it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's heavy, Harry.
That is heavy.
It is heavy.
You are
That's-
so strong for getting through that,
Yeah, no, I bench press that. I mean,
You
Fuck
bench
yeah.
press that bitch.
the scary part about, I mean, it's good, but the scary part about it is like I stopped when I ran out pretty much, but I was wise enough not to like seek it out
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Which is like not everyone's road, but I don't know. They say addiction is all about accessibility, which is why actually a lot of doctors struggle with addiction. Fun fact is because
Fun
they can
fact,
just
cited.
please don't cite us. We don't read. We don't read. We watch YouTube and QAnon, but we do not. We Pizzagate, but we do not pizza read.
Yeah. True.
Little disclaimer.
That's why it's so
Yeah.
easy to smoke in New York too, because they just sell you Lucy's at the deli. Take a cig for
Ooh.
50 cents. It feels like
like a-
olden times. I'm like, 50 cents for a cig.
It's like a gumball.
Yeah.
Like the gumball machine in front of Menards, except
Yeah.
it's Nick.
We talked
sticks.
about how
It's
it's
pure
extinct
cancer.
now. the gumball machine.
Ugh.
COVID knocked
There's
that
People's
one
little
out.
COVID fingies digging into the
Yeah.
candy slot. Blah.
Honestly, horrifyingly, there is a gumball machine at work that is getting a lot of attention still. It's still bringing in revenue, straight
That's
rev.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually another thing I wanted to talk about is not like substance abuse or like that type of addiction, but like I feel like we've all experienced maybe some like mental addictions, or like at least for me, like I feel like due to the grief, like
Like
there's-
ruminations.
well, ruminations, but also like definitely an addiction to like chaos, which I feel like we've talked about before, but like, you know, that dysfunction junction life,
Chaotic,
and
not
just,
good. Yeah.
like just like, you know, like kind of being addicted to like the trauma or like things that are like uncomfortable.
Yeah, because
Right.
like
Because
that's
that's
what we
familiar.
know, and it's what's familiar.
Yeah.
Digging at those
and-
scabs. Yeah.
So it's just like kind of
God,
like it can be
hurts
like
so
a
good.
self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes, where it's like you're almost like subconsciously seeking out things that feel out of control and like spiralic and like you're like, why do I do this? And then you're like, I love it. It's so fun.
So I think moving to New York felt so natural because this is like one of the most chaotic places ever to move to. Like moving here is a borderline traumatic experience. Like, but it felt, we were like, fuck yeah, this is where we belong.
I was dissociating for like 2 months. I was like, where am I? I literally don't know.
Yeah,
And
but
I was
no,
like,
yeah.
this rocks. I feel at home.
I
This-
agree with you. Yeah.
This might be a whole nother pancake and a whole nother flapjack for Paul
Flapjake.
for Paul Bunyan to flip. But yeah, I've also foreshadowing to a future episode, perhaps. I've noticed in terms of romance.
Oh, yeah.
and lovers, I have definitely had some unhealthy needs, and actually during that
Yeah.
the summer of Big Pills 2017, I was also going through a breakup of someone who I was like really relying on, and I've noticed that like since my dad died, like breakups are really triggering and a lot harder,
Yeah,
because like we've
yeah,
talked
yeah.
about like the death of the future in other episodes, and so even though like someone isn't dead, like when someone like leaves your life and those future opportunities go up in smoke like so much fireball wick, it can be like really difficult. It can be really difficult, or even like leaving
Yeah.
a place,
Totally.
like just those like things that you wouldn't think of as like grief because they're not death related, and like that you actually grieve for, just fucking like train wreck, bulldoze,
Yeah.
WWE tag team pile driver Randy Savage you, if I may. But that's
It
a
kind
whole
of
nother
makes
basket
you
of
realize
eggs.
that like losing someone, it's, you know, it's heartbreak, you know, like losing your mother or father. It's like it's heartbreaking. And
I
yeah,
was
when
in
you
love
like
with you, Daddy.
experience, what did you say?
Oh, I just said I was in love with you, Daddy. I didn't mean that. I was just gonna sneak that in. Sorry.
Mommy,
Uh-huh.
I was in love with you. Okay, but yeah, it's a heartbreak. So then, yeah, when you feel like another heartbreak, it's like triggering, I think. But I can kind of touch on that. Maybe, yeah, we'll do a whole episode on romance and grief and whatever. But after Mommy died, I was in like a relationship for a couple of years at that point, and I just like dug my claws into that relationship as if I was holding on for dear life. Like,
yeah, totally.
I like totally sunk into just like a codependent. Oh yeah, it was like it turned really heavy, and like it changed a lot about the relationship, I think. Like in hindsight, again, these are things that, like when they're happening, you don't really, you realize to an extent, but like now it's so clear. I'm like, holy shit, like I was not doing well, and I was just kind of clinging to like anything I could, and like
clinging.
Yeah, just
trauma bonding, codependency,
Dude.
dependency.
I
blah.
was shoving my girlfriend right into that empty daddy hole. I was
God,
like,
yeah.
and the house, she could not, in the fetal position as the cornerstone, she could not bear the weight.
Dude, I was just getting back
that
together
yarn out, get
with
that
people
yarn out.
that I
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, I was like, I'll literally take anything right now. Like I was like, cling. I was like a claw machine. I was like, please,
Cling,
please.
cling. And you're trying to get that iPad, but you just keep on getting like the really too hard rubber ball.
No, and then it almost gets into the thing, and then it just like drops,
Falls
and
right
you're
at the
like,
last minute.
okay,
I
I'll
got a
take
few
it.
more quarters. I was gonna spend them on Lucy's and gumballs, but I guess I can claw my way out of mega depression.
Oh my god. No,
Or the sticky hands.
that's a really good
Sticky hands.
That's a really good point though, the codependency. And yeah, maybe we will do it.
Which
a
is
whole
like
thing
an
on that, but
addiction in
It
itself.
is. It is an addiction, and I find that
Love
that
addiction.
is very prevalent in relationships with me too. Like, not even like, I mean, we know our attachment styles, but not to brag, fearful avoidant and dismissive avoidant over here.
Ooh, insecure avoidant, baby.
I'm pretty damn secure, you guys.
But
pretty secure.
I don't
No, I'm
believe
just
that.
kidding.
I don't know why. No, just kidding. But yeah, so I'm kidding.
Fuck
I
off,
believe
mate.
you're way more secure than me. But
I mean, I'm
So
a lot of
it's-
things.
it's kind of like this thing where
Mm.
it's like being like so terrified of like rejection or like loss, like that heartbreak, like that inevitable ending, someone leaving, someone dying, whatever. But then like once, you know, you kind of get slightly comfortable, it's like that codependency like claw where you're like, all right, I trust you a little bit and I'm just gonna like zap you and then never like anything might be ending, because that terrifies me. Like,
Yeah.
and it reminds me of just how mommy went out, you know. But
Off the pontoon, no
Yeah.
life preserver, sink to
she
the
just
bottom.
did a pencil dive and was like, bye.
Uh-huh.
And then daddy just did like a belly flop, and I was like, oh shit.
No,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did a can opener. Bada ding. Oh.
Oh, wait, a cannonball or a can opener? Is
Yeah,
a
what's
can-
a can
A
opener?
can opener is where you hold one leg up.
It's so
It's like
dumb.
half a cannonball. Okay, but you get the pun, right?
Yes, I get the
Oh,
pun.
yeah, I
Okay,
get
good.
the- I get the
Listeners,
pun.
listeners,
That's
do you?
good.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
Pop pontoon. Pop pontoon. Pop pontoon. Pop pontoon. Pop pontoon. Questions. Answers. Questions.
All right. Here
Let's
we are.
Can
We have
opening.
something juicy. We're opening a can of worms.
Hot worms. Yep,
Hot worms.
exactly. Hot worms. Fire worms.
And we're going to answer a couple of questions that
Are
may or
really
may not
prevalent.
be real.
This is a real question submitted
a
by
real
a
question.
real person.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a visual metaphor for addiction?
That's a good question.
Oh, that's a good question. I think we might have one of ours.
Wow.
Yeah, I might actually have a URL that's gonna
Yeah.
really help this out. So this is a picture that I discovered browsing the
Grief baby
internet.
extraordinaire, Harry Potter.
And if you want to follow along at home, give us a pause right now. We'll give you a pause after this and look up. By the way, this is maybe not too PC. This is more Mac. But
Yeah.
If you look up Harry Potter is a homeless drug addict, you will find a picture on Reddit that sort of says it all. That sort of
On
says it
shitty
all.
fan theories.
Shitty
The
fan
shitty fan
theories.
theories thread.
Yep.
Subreddit. Does someone want to I mean, you guys are artists. Does someone want to
Okay,
describe
yeah.
the
This is
picture
a
real quick?
two-piece visual.
We have a two-piece masterpiece. Top picture, top image is just like the usual Harry Potter characters. So obviously we know Harry Potter is
Who do we have? Yeah.
a platinum grief baby.
He's at
So we
platform
have
9
him.
3/4.
We have Sirius, we have Hagrid, we have the owl. I don't remember the name.
Hedwig.
They're at platform 9 3/4. We have Snape, we have Ron, we have Hermione, and they're just chilling. You know, it's like usual suspects, just good vibes.
Yeah.
Harry's got a wand.
And then
Harry's got a
you
wand,
scroll
yeah.
down, and you realize that this image on top's actually a thought bubble coming
But-
from the second Harry.
This is an imagination.
Who's the
Real
real
Harry.
Harry.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And suddenly we're in like a New York subway station, and it's dark.
It's dark.
It
it's
is
dingy.
dark. It is dark.
It's dark.
And Hagrid is in the background as a pimp.
White coat. Looks like
Um,
it's probably fur. He's got the hat.
Sirius is kind of like a scraggly dog.
licking Harry's
licking
face.
Harry. Harry has a needle in his hand
Instead of the wand.
and a belt on his arm.
Extremely
oh my
disheveled.
God, so dark.
So disheveled.
Mhm.
Snape is in a hoodie and he is handing Ron like drugs in a handshake, and Hermione is in heels and shorts, just like looking cold and like strange.
Yeah,
Honestly,
they
next
look
to
like-
the scariest part is how impractical Hermione's heels are for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
drug
yeah, I
deal.
know,
It's like,
really
how are
scary.
you gonna flee?
And there's like a mop
Ron's
instead
face
of a
is not looking
broomstick.
good. Ron's
So,
face is
so
not looking
basically, in conclusion, Harry Potter, if you've heard of him, lost both of his parents. Big O, gold
Big
tier
O.
member.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what's being implied here is that there is no Harry Potter books, and J.K. Rowling wrote 4,000 pages that is essentially a strung out Harry Potter trip.
Imagining he's
It's
a
fever
wizard.
dream. Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
she's a TERF, so we don't really like her.
Also, I think we said that a really funny part of this also is that Hedwig the owl is a pigeon.
Just like a New
is
York
actually
pigeon.
a pigeon. Yeah,
Mhm.
dirty.
I think
Flying
Hagrid
rat.
being a pimp is just so ridiculous, but
I know.
this image
It looks
does
perfect.
You know, it's like, okay, the one thing about Harry Potter is like, okay, yeah, he does have a hard life, and I feel like the trauma is maybe expressed a little bit in the book, and he has this like weight on his shoulders to like do this crazy thing and like save everyone. But also, I'm just like, I think you'd be a little more fucked up. I
I
guess
guess so well adjusted. Also for the shit family that
I
he had
guess
to live
he's-
with too. He lived in a fucking closet under the stairs.
Yeah, abusive. I guess he's seeking revenge on his parents' killers, so maybe that's what's keeping him like afloat. I don't know.
That's true.
Gryffindor, not Slytherin. Not Slytherin.
Harry's
But
got a little
luckily,
Slytherin in this
we
image.
have some help in the analysis. If
Yeah.
Grief Babies,
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to
In the
scroll
comments.
down. Comment number 1, I think really says it all, and it's from a god 2486. He got 55 upvotes for this, so he was onto something.
Yeah.
And he says, "I automatically believe any pimp Hagrid theory, so I can't see how this could be wrong." Nice one! Exclamation
Nice one.
mark.
Exclamation mark, yeah.
True.
Wow.
Yeah, so we buy it. Like
No,
we
honestly.
we do buy it.
Someone said
looks like a
Voldemort
perfect
would
pimp.
be a cop. Okay, that's an interesting
Oh.
theory. A narc.
A cab. We like that.
Okay, wait. Someone else said Voldemort is his abusive kidnapper who branded him with a lightning bolt when he trafficked him out to a boarding school. He allegedly sold his own nose for heroin, and then
That
someone
is
said,
so funny.
no, he lost it to coke.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay,
That
I
makes
guess
more
that's
sense.
yeah. Your nose does deteriorate eventually. Sold him to a trafficked him. What? Someone said thanks.
Wait,
I love it / hate it.
How do you get trafficked into a boarding school?
I don't
I thought that was
know.
an accomplishment. That's like getting smuggled into Harvard. Like, why is that bad?
I don't know. Then someone just said interesting.
Okay.
And it was, and it is interesting.
I mean, I think it's really, it makes sense that Snape is the drug dealer. Such a slippery character.
Such a snake, if you will.
Yeah. Yep.
Hagrid being a pimp, though, I'm like, really would have never expected it. I don't know. He was the nice guy, but I guess maybe that's the whole thing. It's just a facade.
So maybe
know.
next episode, I'm seeing a related post, and honestly, I don't know how we have not talked about Luke motherfucking Skywalker, because he has some shit. And
Wow,
there's a
yeah.
post here. Maybe we'll cover it later. It says
Daddy
Darth
issues.
Vader died because Luke exposed him to COVID by removing his mask.
Good
Okay.
God.
Let's just
Good
think about.
God.
We can crack into that at a later
We'll think
time.
about
though.
that. I do have to admit, I've never seen any Star Wars movie. I just have to say it now. I don't know the plot that
It's
well.
been a while since
Honestly,
I have,
there's
honestly.
these orphans. There's not a lot of orphan representation, but when they do, it goes hard. There's a billion hours of Harry Potter, Batman, Bruce Wayne, little Luke Skywalker action, and there's a lot of fanfic and just actually
so
regular
many
fic.
men too. Like
Yeah,
what? Where are
where's
all
the grief
girl grief
baby
babies?
girlies?
Annie.
Annie. Yeah.
She's our only one.
Orphan
She's-
Annie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know.
I mean, she kills it.
She
What
does.
about-
yeah.
what about
but
Pippi
she gets a daddy
Longstocking?
Warbucks.
Okay, I was literally thinking Pippi Longstocking.
Does she
but
have
I wasn't
parents?
sure. I don't know. I don't remember.
She gets
Honestly-
a sugar daddy. Annie.
Yeah, Annie gets a fucking sugar with that hair. Are you kidding?
Yeah, so it's just oh my god. So basically, it's just magical sci-fi men and redheaded broads. So
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
so to speak,
pretty
if
much.
you will, it's just redheaded broads and magic.
To put it crudely, yeah.
Well, we'll have to touch on those in future episodes, I suppose.
Yeah, we get even more Macintosh about it. No PC.
Yeah.
Mac.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Do we have a second question?
Oh yeah, the second questions are, the second question is, are these questions being asked by real people? Are these real questions?
Wow. Did they really? They made it. They had like the stutter in there too. That's a good
Yeah.
question. That's actually how you know it's real, because they had the authentic.
Yeah.
Sort
this
of
was
fig-
it was a
figuring
voice
out the
note
question. Yeah.
This is so meta, but I think
Yeah,
it's
they're all
up to
real.
viewer interpretation if we're on the grid
Yeah.
or not. The Tronathon pontoon.
So basically, we're in the bottom of the Harry Potter picture, and the thought bubble is that we think that real people are asking us questions. So it's really up to how much fanfic you're diving into. Because J.K. Rowling would say these questions are really real. We have a lot coming in, and Reddit would say you might be sort of just
Interesting.
you might be digging in the daddy hole for these questions. Yeah.
I love the daddy hole. Let's keep digging.
Let's keep.
I can say
digging.
these questions are 100% real. 100%
Let's
real.
keep digging.
It's
Yeah.
really hard to pick through actually because we get so many questions.
Get overloaded in the inbox.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry if we haven't answered your question. It's like we can't get to all of them.
Yeah, we can't get to all of them.
We
But anyway, you
can't.
should submit a question at deadparentsclub.rip. That's our website. Or at deadparentsclub.rip on Instagram. You could even email us, deadparentsclub.rip@gmail.com. I don't know.
Crazy. Here's a question I get IRL a lot of the time. Like, can I share your podcast with my grief baby
Oh, yeah, that's
friend?
a good one.
Please do.
Please do.
Share. That's the point of this.
Post it on
And-
Shitty Fan Theories Reddit, please, because
please,
we are here to
Please, we
contribute.
can't keep talking to ourselves in a thought bubble. We're going mad. Anyway.
Yeah, we're magic. We're magic. We're redheaded
always.
magicians.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back maybe in 5 Mondays, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
I like that. I like measuring time by Mondays.
yeah.
Well, I've been Big H, Big Harry Potter, Harry J. Potter.
Harry,
Thank you.
I've been Big G, Hermione Granger, Gabby.
I'm Big M.
Wait.
Mr.
Mad-Eye
McGonagall.
Moody.
McGonagall.
Mad-Eye McGonagall.
Mad-Eye McGonagall.
Madwig.
Okay, perfect. We nailed it.
Okay. Bye.
Nailed it.
Keep on trucking.
Expelliarmus!
Mommy's all right. Daddy's all right.
right.
Yeah, he's dead.
Harry got so much money from his parents too. Trust fund.
Shout out
baby.
last question. Yeah.
I'm so not rich. All right.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Our mom left us nothing.
She left us ashes and dust. Bye.
Smoking some moss.
Smoking some moss.
Thanks.
Smoking some moss.
Let's move on. 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 Let's move on.
Thanks.
Pontoon.